again here on Talkin Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today. And today we're going to start off with a bit of a continuation on the discussion regarding the Artur Beterbiev versus Callum Smith battle. It's just around the corner from us. I want to talk about a little bit of the undercard and more importantly, focus on one of our local superstars, Leila Beaudoin. Let's have a look now. The Center Videotron will kick off the new year in a big way in Quebec as the unified world light heavyweight champ Artur Beterbiev puts his belt on the line against former super middleweight monarch, now number one contender in the light heavyweight division, Callum Smith. A decent introduction, courtesy of BoxingScene.com, by the way. In addition to this highly anticipated bout for boxing enthusiasts, 3 other championship fights will take place. Christian and Billy, I've talked to him often. He's a fantastic fighter. Look for him to rise to the top. And he's defending his WBC Continental Americas title against Rohan Murdoch. Jason Maloney's in town attempting to claim the WBO World Bantamweight belt from Saul Sanchez. And Imam Katiev is having the opportunity to secure his first professional career title, the NABF against Rodolfo Gomez Jr. So let's talk about Leila Beaudoin now. There are other fights on the undercard, but let's talk about Leila Beaudoin. Okay, had a fantastic amateur career. She's now 10-1. She went down to Mexico because this is now a rematch, if you will. Went down to Mexico and suffered her first learning experience, a unanimous decision against Elizabeth Espinoza. And then she's looking to redeem herself in this upcoming fight. Fantastic young lady, great fighter. She's only got one knockout out of those 10 victories, but I'm sure she's going to come out hard and fast against Elizabeth on this upcoming undercard. And she's up there in Canadian women's fighters. Amanda Gali comes to mind, Jessica Camara comes to mind, Mary Spencer comes to mind. We've got a great crop of Canadian fighters in the female divisions that are winning and winning hard. It's good stuff and great to see either Tiger Management and the way they're treating their fighters and putting these fights together in Montreal or Quebec as they have this for the first time this year. So here we go. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great fight. And interesting to see what good old Eddie Hearn and Callum Smith have been saying. Eddie Hearn in brief said something like Smith's going to knock out Beterbiev. I disagree. But let's have a look and see what Callum Smith has to say. It's something I've been thinking about for nearly 2 years. I just want to get in the ring with him. I know it's a fight. It's a fighter that I respect, that I rate his achievements, but I've always watched him and felt I had the style to beat him. I like my chances in this fight. Now that it's getting closer and the more I perform in the gym, I definitely feel comfortable to get over there and take his belt off him. I've had Beterbiev on the brain for a long time. I'm more focused on what I get when I win, and that's 3 world titles. I'm willing to do it. I'm fully focused on Artur Beterbiev. I've seen enough of him over the years to know what needs to be done. And Buddy McGirt has watched him and has a good game plan for me. So, but Smith is 29-1, and quite frankly is the underdog going into this battle. And although he and Eddie Hearn think they will win that fight, I tend to disagree. I think Beterbiev will emerge victorious. Lee Wood versus Josh Warrington 2. Possible for May 18th, I see, screams the headline. 2-time WBA featherweight champ Lee Wood scored a pretty sensational, pretty much out of the blue, 7th round stoppage win over Josh Warrington back in October. The win saw Nottingham's Woods register the first successful defense of his second reign as WBA champ. Now it seems Wood and Warrington are on course for a return fight with a date of May 18th put forward by promoter Eddie Hearn. Wood, he's 28-3, 17 knockouts, vacated the WBA featherweight title back in October, so the rematch could be a non-title affair, up at 130 pounds. But as a big domestic showdown that will no doubt sell out the stadium, the proposed rematch is big, belt or no belt. Warrington, 31-3-1, who was angered by the stoppage in October because he was ahead on all three cards at the time, has wanted a rematch ever since. Now it seems the former two-time IBF featherweight champ will get what he wants in May, with the fight likely to take place at Nottingham Forest Football Stadium. This, of course, is something Wood wants very much. And we'll look forward to see if that gets firmed up. Speaking of getting firmed up, let's go over to Japan. According to BoxingNews24.com, the monster Inoue, 26-0, undefeated, will defend his undisputed super bantamweight championship against his WBC mandatory Luis Nery, 35-1, 27 knockouts in May over in Tokyo, Japan. ESPN has confirmed that the Inoue versus Nery fight will be taking place in May, with Inoue's IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO belts all on the line against the former two-division world champion. And Inoue is fresh off his 10th round knockout victory over Marlon Tapales last December, and is now making his first defense of his undisputed 122-pound championship against Nery, who was banned for life in Japan for coming in overweight on a doping violation of his clash in that country against their hero, Shinsuke Yamanaka, back in March of 2018 in a fight that he scored a second-round knockout. Anyway, Nery will be reinstated, says Mike Coppinger over at ESPN, making it possible for him to fight Inoue in that country. It's believed that Inoue intends to defend the undisputed super bantamweight championship 3 times this year. Good for him. Going back to Leila Beaudoin just for 1 second, I was reading that back in her amateur days, she would have 6 to 7 fights a year. So these fighters these days, they're putting it on the line and quite regularly. Good to see, as opposed to guys like Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. So Errol Spence Jr. doesn't agree with Naoya Inoue being the 2023 Fighter of the Year. Spence feels that Terence Crawford should have been given that honor for his victory over him last July. What swayed the decision to give it to Inoue, 26-0, by the way, did I say that? Was his winning 2 fights to become super bantamweight unified champ this past year. However, Crawford got the better win, besting the 3-belt unified welterweight champion Spence by a 10th round knockout. So Inoue's 2 wins in 2023 came against Stephen Fulton via 8th round knockout in July, and Tapales, as I just said, by a 10th round knockout in December, thus earning the super bantamweight undisputed championship. Said Spence, I don't like it because he won it off me, but Terence Crawford should have won the 2023 Fighter of the Year. Spence added that Crawford beat the number 1 fighter in the world at 147 with his victory over him, but his revelation that he fought with a pre-existing eye injury takes away the credit that Terence deserves for his victory. And that's being debated right now online. Just Google it. It's, again, making headlines for no reason whatsoever. Terence himself has even come out of the woodwork and reacted to that social media comment with his own response, saying simply on X, formerly Twitter, no comment. Let's go back to Eddie Hearn for a second, because it's like his fighters just can't speak for themselves. Because he says, here goes, first line. Eddie Hearn predicts Anthony Joshua will demolish Francis Ngannou in a fight that will be a similar mismatch as AJ's last fight against Otto Wallin. Sorry, Eddie. Francis Ngannou is one heck of a fighter and proved himself. I think he had that 3rd round knockdown against Tyson Fury, and even won on one of the judges' scorecards, if memory serves correct, in that fight. So this is not going to be easy for Anthony Joshua, and I don't think he's going to demolish Francis Ngannou. I think Ngannou is going to hold his own, and quite frankly, it will win that fight against Joshua, my own humble opinion. And I'd love to hear your comments down below. Let's have a quick look at other news to conclude off our episode today. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was arrested for illegal possession of an assault rifle this weekend over in LA, California, after police were called into the scene by a concerned fan who believed the boxer may be in danger to himself or others. So we've learned that the 37-year-old former champ, son of legendary Mexican pugilist Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., was taken into custody by LAPD around 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon after Jr. permitted responding officers to enter his home, where they located the illegal rifle. Law enforcement sources tell us that the weapon was an untraceable ghost gun. Chavez Jr. was ultimately transported to the Valley Jail in Van Nuys, where the 6'1", 170-pound fighter was booked. It's not the first time people around Julio have feared for his safety. In fact, Chavez Sr. recently opened up about fears his son could lose his life if he continues down the same path. And what path is that? Nobody knows, but it's obviously one where he's putting himself in danger. Chavez Jr. is a former WBC middleweight champ. That's from 2011, over 10 years ago. Wow, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, whatever. And last fought in December 2021 when he beat David Zagara. So hopefully someone puts him in a better state of mind and he's able to continue his life in safety. All right. Thanks very much for joining me here on Talkin Fight. Appreciate it very much. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell, please. And we'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for another episode of Boxing News Headlines.